to binging on, unless you are already binging on it hard, which is my case. Feel free to write in the chat. And while you're waiting, if you could just mute your microphone, helps with like any feedback from too many speakers and presenters. But if you do have something to say, you're welcome to unmute and ask, or you can use the chat box. Nicole Hooper and I will do our best to man the chat box throughout the presentation. My children are currently taking turns mopping my floor, so this is pretty great. Good work.
I have loved the COVID schedule for that I printed out, and it has on there that they actually clean, and my kids do it. They know how to clean the toilets now. They know how to clean the tubs. It's great.
We're not there. I'm impressed. There's a mop out today, so I'll take it for a win.
Miss Gilpin, Sam says hi. He heard your voice and came running. That's from Amanda.
Amanda Scoonians?
Yep. Thanks for that.
Yeah, I taught him in kindergarten a while ago. Well, hi, back to Sam.
I can't believe he'd recognize your voice, Jen. Shocking.
I don't know if that's insulting or a compliment.
Both.
I'm going to take it as a compliment.
All right, we're going to get started here in about probably 2 more minutes. So if you're just joining us, feel free to talk about our Easter egg question and make sure your mic is muted if you haven't already done so. We're going to do our best to man the chat as much as possible during this. So just for anyone entering, this session is going to talk a lot around home codes. So we're going to try and stick to that. If you have questions regarding other things like activities, you're going to want to tune in to the next sessions for that. So today we're really just focusing on home codes, just so you're aware. Lots of mini eggs happening in the chat right now. Mini eggs, cream eggs, mini eggs, Cadbury eggs. Ooh, Mike and egg, good choice.
I didn't get a chance to put the live land acknowledgement in this one.
That's okay. We will just
We'll read it.
say it. Yeah. Make it a little personal.
I'll have it for tomorrow.
Okay. Little scoops. Oh, I haven't tried those, but I'm super curious about them. Did my Easter shopping while everyone else was hoarding toilet paper. Good call. Except now you've probably eaten it all.
That is a downfall of purchasing early.
Yeah. Mini eggs all the way. Wow, they are definitely a fan favorite. All right, got 1 more minute till we start. So if you haven't yet, mute your mic just to help eliminate background noise. But you're welcome to join in and ask any questions if you need, or it might be easier to type them in the chat, and we will do our best to get to those. Well, my husband just sent me a text to tell me it's 2 and I'm late. So let's get started because Mr. Prompt is telling me to get moving. All right. So welcome to Frequent SeeSaw Use Part A. Today, like I said earlier, we're going to really be focusing on home codes for the majority of the time. So hopefully that's what you're here to hear about. And anything regarding activities will be coming up in the next sessions in the next few days. All right.
just like we would do at school and before all of our sessions, we would like to do the traditional territorial land acknowledgement. So we acknowledge that the land on which we are gathered is part of the traditional territory of the Chippewa, Odawa, Potawatomi, and Delaware nations.
Thanks, Nicole. Okay, so we're happy you're here today. Myself, Samantha Van Hooft, an instructional coach, and Nicole Hooper, the Learning Commons coach, will be your guides for the day. Shantina and Jen are the dynamic duo who are sharing you all of this great content. So we will just be the people behind the chat, and they'll be sharing lots of good stuff with you. And I don't think there's anything else there. Okay.
And as Sam said, the focus on this session will be to explore the home codes. And right now, we would like to acknowledge that learning at home and remotely for students and teaching for teachers is very different than we've ever known inside our own classroom with the face-to-face interactions with our students. So there are some guiding principles that the Director of Education and the superintendents have sat down and determined that these 6 guidelines will be the foundation of how we are going to plan our learning opportunities for students from. Okay.
Okay, number 1, asynchronous learning. This is an important point to consider. We want to anticipate that the learning students are doing is not online all day long, but rather learning opportunities for them that are flexible, can be completed at different times throughout the day, either when their parents are able to work with them or they have access to a device and things like that, are something you definitely want to think about.
And this next guideline really lends itself well from the previous one Sam just mentioned. When students are learning from home, it's really important to consider that students, about the pace of how students are learning, and that learning opportunities will take students at home 2 to 3 times longer than that it would ever take them in our regular classroom setting. So we really have to be cognizant of what we're planning and how we're sending out the expectations for our students in their learning.
Okay, number 3, prioritize. Think about using open-ended questions around topics that are most needed right now. Less is more. For example, at this point in time, we're just trying to connect with students during this period of uncertainty. Moving forward, it would be important to cover, one thing or one item per subject and really focus on a meaningful activity. Really being cognizant of not flooding parent streams with notifications. I just lived that with my daughter's account, and I felt overwhelmed by all of the information coming in. So I think it's really important to put ourselves in the teacher hat and the parent hat, which I'm sure many of us are right now. This is another good time to talk about the co-teacher piece. So you can reach out to any of those co-teachers that share your classroom with you, prep teachers, music, phys ed, French, any like that, and they can share your SeeSaw account with you. They can become a co-teacher, and then they are able to also send things home to students. So it'd be a great time to reach out and connect with them. And sharing the workload is a good piece to talk about right now. Like Jen and Shantima, who are our content providers today, are good for this. They share a lot of the workload, and then they bounce ideas back and forth and share read alouds. And I think that's an important thing to think about during this. How can you share the work and still share the ideas at the same time?
Okay, and our next one is available. So it's just letting your parents know when you're available for them to reach out to you. And what will that look like? So will you block times in your day when you let parents know that you're available? Will you be accessible on SeeSaw, remote? Will you do a Google Meet? And so you just really have to let your parents know if you're going to do an email, a phone call, but just when you're available to them.
Okay, and number 5, intentionality. Consider things that your class still had to cover and design activities that target those. Ensure your activities are meaningful and not just busy work, because then that kind of defeats the purpose, and we don't want anyone pulling their hair out over any of these activities. Oh, hi, puppy.
Okay, and when you're planning learning opportunities, you want to, or whatever platform you're using, you want it to be familiar with what the students and the families are used right now. There's lots of stress in the day with the situation that we're in, and we need to minimize that stress. So keeping consistent what you have been doing and how you've been communicating and reaching out is key to your families. If you're currently using SeeSaw, continue to use SeeSaw or Google. If you're currently using remote, but you want to maybe dive into eventually using SeeSaw, continue to use Remind right now, and then ease parents into a new platform as the time goes.
All right, so here's a snapshot of the upcoming sessions this week around SeeSaw support. You are currently in the, well, it's pink on my screen, but it looks yellow on my other screen. So the bottom zone, S3, we will be back here at this time slot every day until Friday this week. You are more than welcome to check out other sessions as well. And if you're in this one and you're feeling it's a bit above your current level of understanding, you can consider trying to maybe check out S2 for tomorrow. As well, these sessions, we mentioned it at the end of our other session, but I want to say it now, will all be recorded and archived for you to access at a later time if you want to hit up more than one. They will be available on our new educator site, which we do have a QR code to at the end of the slide. They will also be a link on our blog as well that we want to, if you wanted to find it, you can go through there. Sorry, I think Nicole might have been saying that on the next one. I just wanted to make sure we said it so we didn't forget it.
Yep. And like Sam said with the previous schedule for the SeeSaw sessions, if you're also interested in the Google sessions, because I know you can use Google and SeeSaw at the same time as well, all of the sessions, like Sam said, will be archived. So if you want to check into those Google sessions, we'll show you at the end of this how you can access the website that will have all of these sessions archived.
Yeah.
Okay, so today in this session, we're going to explore, we've already talked about the remote learning guidelines that you're going to base the opportunities that you plan on. And Jen and Shantima are going to take it over, and they're going to inform you on how learning our home codes work.
Okie doke. So first thing I'm going to say is, let's be gentle, because I do not know what I'm doing with Zoom. So we all have to come on this journey with me as we get through this. Okay. So the first thing really that I want to share with home codes is not actually a home code itself, but rather an activity, which seems kind of backwards, but it will make sense momentarily. So when I was thinking about getting my kids set up with home codes, I wondered what it would be like when they finally get there. So they get their home code, they're going to connect, and then what, right? I wanted them to have some kind of a welcome message. So what I did was I actually created an activity first. That's what I did. So I just went to activities and super simple, basic. I just went to the drawing tool. I said, please draw me a picture. Well, in my little blurb up there, it says, hello, grade 2 students. I miss you very much. Draw me a quick picture to just let me know that you're connected. And then I did give audio instructions as well. The reason why I did that is to make it more accessible to all the learners, just in case they can't read what I said, what I wrote. And number 2, just for them to hear my voice so that there was that connection made. So this activity serves twofold. One, it's a nice welcome for them to come to my class, and they're connected, they get to draw something, I get to see it, and that's part 2. So now I can go on and I can see how many kids that I have connected really quickly, because all I do is I go to that activity, and as you can see, this is a screenshot from my actual class, and I have 11 responses so far. And then over on the side, I just have 2 kind of examples. The first one I thought was kind of cute. I thought, oh, wow, that kid really gets it, right? There's me and there's her, and we're connecting through SeeSaw. I was like, oh, she gets it. And then the second one, you know, he just drew a blob of a star. That's cool. I also have some students that they didn't even draw anything at all, but that's okay. Because we're all kind of struggling figuring out the technology piece of all of it. So I have a few that are blank, but I know that they're connected. And then what I did for each one is I liked it, of course, and then I wrote in the comments, you know, hi, Angela, I'm so excited that you've connected. Thanks for being here. You know, I miss you, smile face emoji, you know, or whatever. So even the kids that are blank there that you can see, I have a few of those actually, more than just one. I still wrote them a comment and then they commented back. So I know that they're connected. Okay, so that's kind of the first step, I would say. Think about how you're going to welcome your kids to this new learning platform. Okay, so activity first, then we can sort of get to home codes. So now I have to figure out how to get us all into my iPad. So hold
That's okay.
tight, folks.
We have a question, Jen. Someone wants to know,
Yeah.
did we just make a new activity or using what? So I just responded in the chat, like, yep, this was an activity made before you sent home the home codes. It's kind of like a welcome and a check-in. So it was a new activity made, home code sent home, which Jen will get to. And then they went in and saw that there was a new activity for them.
So that screenshot is literally the activity that I sent.
Mm-hmm.
And to create a new activity, I SeeSaw Remote Learning, I connect as the title. Those were my instructions, draw a picture. If I played those instructions, if they were live, it would just say, hi, boys and girls in grade 2. Welcome to your new SeeSaw class. I'm so excited that you're here. I miss all of you. I'm just looking for you to draw me a picture. Basically, that's what that says. And I attached the template, and the template I just made in draw. So I just went to draw and then I made a text box. So easy peasy, nothing fancy. That's what I did.
And Jen, this might be a good spot to just plug our S2 sessions for that work around like the tools, like the draw tool and things like that. We are exploring that in our S2 sessions too. So if that's kind of something you're curious about, those would be good ones to hit up, because we're going to really work on tool literacy so you can create these cool things using the tools.
Yeah, and that activity was just step 1. Jen's just flipping over to her iPad here, and we're gonna, like she said, focus on home codes. So that's where we're getting to now, and we'll focus on activities tomorrow.
That's right. I just wanted to talk about activities quickly because I do feel that your kiddos should have a welcome when they get there. And as I said, it's an easy check-in for you to see who's there, right? Which not many people are going to be there the first day. Shantine will get to that later. Okay, so now we're on my iPad. And to access your home codes, you're going to want to use the web, not the app. That's how I've used it. So I'm in my web version. I tap on I'm a teacher. I'm going to sign in. And here I am. Okay. I actually have 3 classes. So I made an online demo class. And the reason why I did this is because I'm just trying to protect the privacy of my parents. So while I have real kiddo stuff posted here that is pulled from my actual class right now, it's a fake class. So I'm in my class, and then all I do is I tap on home learning codes, and then I'm given these 2 options. So I actually have 3 classes on the go right now. Gilpin grade 2 is the one that I'm going to work with right now. And I have the options to print codes or download codes. Now, 2 different ways. If you press download codes and you are on a computer or something, mine opened up in Excel, womp womp. It was fine. What I did was I just used those codes and I created this draw thing, and it was a little more complicated than it needed to be. So what I'm going to say to you is just tap print codes, because then when you go to print codes, it's going to show your class just like the normal ones that we had when we sent them home when we were in class. They're just different instructions. So this is my class. Now, I am going to go back because I'm going to use my demo. So I'm going to go print codes. Here I am. Okay, here's my student Shantima. There's the instructions. So what I want to do is screenshot that because I have to send it to my parents. Currently, I'm in portrait mode, but if I put my iPad into, I was in landscape mode. If I put it into portrait mode, then I can see the whole thing. Or for my, primary art teachers out there, this would be hamburger. No, I'd want hot dog. This is hot dog fold. I want it to be hot dog fold. So I want it to be up and down. And then I'm just going to take a screenshot of that, swipe it away, go to my next kiddo, screenshot, swipe it away. Okay. And this is the one I'm going to work with. So you're going to do that for all of your kiddos. Just take screenshots of them because that's what you're going to send home. So now I'm going to, you could stay in the web app or like the web version if you want to then send them home. Personally, I like to work out of the app. I just find it easier to send messages. So I'm actually going to flip over to the app now and I'm in my demo and I'm going to send it to my student Lemmy. Lemmy here, his mom. So I'm gonna go to my inbox. There's Lemmy's mom connected. No, it's me. I'm gonna tap on it. And then I would just write her a quick message, saying, hi, Jen, I hope you are doing well. We are starting to set up SeeSaw remote learning. I have attached, oh, that's not his name, Lemmy's instructions. If you have any issues or questions, let me know. And I'm a huge fan of the emoji, the universal language of emoji, so I'm going to stick that in there. And then I would just tap the plus. I'm going to upload from my photos. And I would find Lemmy's, make sure it's Lemmy's, because I don't want to send it to the wrong parent. Check mark. It's going to attach it for us. I could write on here if I want to, or highlight certain things. To be honest, I have an ELL family and they required a little more explicit instruction. So when I wrote their message, it was more like, hi, hope you are well. I have attached instructions to connect student X to our online class. And then when I went in here and I attached it, I kind of highlighted it with red, like the important pieces, just to make it a little more explicit. And I did have, it took that parent about 5 or 6 messages back and forth to get it up and going, but they're there. So if you feel that you have a family that might need some more, arrows or bells or whistles, feel free, you can do that on there. But then I would just check mark it and send away. So I'm going to send. Okay. And then I just sit and wait. So sometimes the parents will write you back with questions. Sometimes not. You'll know that their child is connected really easily if you have that activity and they've completed the activity. Another thing that we learned, Shantima and I have been sharing our home codes for about a week now. Mm-hmm. And something that we also shared, this was through learning, is to tell the parents to keep that home code in an important place, because they're going to need that home code more than once if there are siblings using the same device. So this isn't going to be true for all families, but certainly for some families. If you have 4 kids and they're all sharing one laptop, or they're sharing a laptop and an iPad and they're all using SeeSaw, there's going to be signing in and signing out. So you have to be cognizant of that a little bit. Sometimes as teachers, we forget that, you know, the students in our class are the only, you know, not the only kids in a family. So Shantima will talk a little bit more about that kind of stuff and things to think about. But
Jen,
that's pretty much it. So yeah,
we're getting some chats.
Yep.
I think we need some clarification on why home codes. So I'm getting a lot of whys,
Okay.
like why can't they just keep using the SeeSaw they're using? Do you want to talk to that and the difference between the parent app and the class app?
Sure.
Okay.
So the reason why we have to have home codes is because when you think about how your kids are connected at home, the only way that they are connected at home right now is through the parent app. So we're talking about two different apps here. The parent app is how your parents are connected, which vicariously then that's how your students are connected. We're not going to be sending work home through the parent app. So that's why you see in the instructions, if you look at the instructions, the very first thing is your kids need the class app. So once they get the class app, or if they don't have an iOS device, they have to use that web address of app.seesaw.me. That's how they will be connected to the actual SeeSaw class. So when I go into, you know, my actual class, these posts that you see right now, these have all been completed at home. That would not have been possible if they did not have the home codes, because they don't have the class app at home. They only have the parent app.
Yeah, and in the parent app, they would not have access to the new activities and the new work coming out. It would just, they just have access to their student journal and what's previously been posted.
That's right. They can't do anything.
That's right.
So we have another question here, that why can they not download the class app and then just use the class code to log in? Is that something you can easily address?
My guess is, well, if they're, SeeSaw has set it up this way so that each child can only see their own portfolio for privacy reasons.
For privacy, okay.
So in our classrooms, if you have that function open, everybody can see everybody's. Now you'll only be able to see your own feed.
Or things you're tagged in, right? Yeah.
Okay.
So as a parent, if I get something from my child's teacher and they want communication back from my child to do something, like you said, Jen, that they can only do that through my parent message. So if I press the plus button, like I'm going to answer my teacher back or respond to her, then the tools do pop up that you can send a picture, send a video, and whatnot. A child would have to do that through the parent portal, which is just, it's an inconvenient and it's really not easy for the kids. So like Jen said, home codes is the way that you need to go if you're expecting that interaction back.
And nor can you assign activities to parents.
That's
right. Yeah, they could right, they could just see like a picture of your activity, but they couldn't respond back to it.
That's right, because these are my activities. This is my demo class, but I stuck my real life activities in there. So I would not be able to send any of those and see the responses if I was just using the parent app. Nor, as you said, Nicole, do I think that parents want to be in charge of their child's SeeSaw jobs.
No, that's right. It puts the onus back on the child.
Yeah.
And also, could you maybe speak to how parents know, like once home codes are set up, how do parents know that there's actually an assignment in there waiting for them, for their child?
Shantima will address that later.
Yep. And we're getting some questions about whether parents should still keep the parent app. Absolutely.
Yes. Parents need both.
Yeah.
Or really, it's not even parents need both. It's the house needs both.
Yeah.
Parents need the parent app and kids need the kid app.
Yeah. One more thing to clarify, Jen, teachers are wondering, like, does their SeeSaw change? Is this like home thing different? So home codes are just for your students. You'll still use SeeSaw as you would as an instructor.
Yeah, this
Your
is my
SeeSaw's the
actual
same.
SeeSaw. This is my SeeSaw, well, my fake one, but everything looks exactly the same. Nothing changes on our end.
No, you're not updating. You're not getting a new app for yourself. This is strictly for kids at home.
Right.
Everything
Hi,
in mine
Jen
looks the same. Yep.
And Shantima, can I just jump in to clarify? It's Pam, and I kind of help manage the SeeSaw accounts for our board. And so I'm following along closely with what this means. My understanding of the home codes, especially for this group, is that you are like, SeeSaw is vital to my classroom experience. This is how we live and work. And now you almost feel limited. You can't offer what kids are offering at home. It seems like home codes are cracking open the device that you have at home and making it useful, just like at school. I can use everything the way I did at school as a kid. There's no workarounds. Like if we don't have the home code, we're doing workarounds for everything.
Yeah.
So I think for this group, you guys are because you're used to using SeeSaw and you feel comfortable that it's home codes. I think our friends like that were in the new 2 group, they might come to this in a week or 2 after we get it up and running. But I think it's just going to keep your kids are going to feel regular programming coming at them through this home app.
One thing to add, Pam, I'm getting some, I know Jen can't see the chat. Jen and I teach grade 2. We both have straight grade 2 classes. We're getting like, is this way too advanced for FTK, for grade 2, 3, for primary? Jen and I are strictly grade 2. I think it depends on your frequent use currently. So that's why this session is like frequent SeeSaw use. This is if your kids are used to it, right? Like this is how Jen and I actually teach in the classroom already. So a lot of my parents, I'm just saying, get them on the class app. They know what to do. Yeah, so exactly. I don't think it's so much the grade level. It's more if your kids are used to the functions or not and the tools that are
absolutely.
I think that there's something. I was just going to say, I think it's also fair to say though that if you are in FDK and you have to use something, right? There's going to have to be like it's a something. You have to use something. So if SeeSaw is going to be your tool of choice, that's fine. We're not saying you have to be like Shantima and I and sending out home codes like immediately and posting activities immediately. Right. We are not saying that at all.
No, exactly.
But you're going to have some way to send information to kiddos at home. Even if it's not online learning, it's more remote or distance learning where you're like, hey, run around the house and find X or create a dance or do something, read a book. Here's me sharing a story. All of those things. This is the tool to send it home. So don't get bogged down in, I have to be sending all these activities and be like Jen and Shantima and all those other people. No, this is just a tool for you to connect with the kids at home.
That's right.
Absolutely. So our new 2 group, we had Michelle Henderson and Carrie Miller, kindergarten partnerships. And like they were sharing that they use SeeSaw a lot in their classroom for documentation. And they're the ones holding the device and documenting that learning. Their students hadn't yet taken ownership of the device to document their own learning other than, can you take my picture? I want to show you this, videotape me that. Whereas I've been in other classrooms where in kindergarten, the students take hold of that device and do that and are uploading things. So you have to know your audience, your student audience, and know what they're ready for that. And what Carrie and Michelle have done with home codes is that they went to 2 or 3 families that they know they're going to get honest feedback and can you do this? And so they started small, and it's been a long journey for them.
And like Shantima will share that too. Shantima's going to talk about sort of how to navigate it and some things to think about.
Yeah.
So
and I think
I'm
we
going to
go back
stop
to
screen sharing. And then we'll go back to
the slides.
It's just about the principles. Like we go at the pace and that we can handle right now. Us and the students.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to zoom along and figure out how to get back to the world here.
Okay. Because I'm just going to talk a little bit about things to think about. And basically it's struggles that Jen and I have had in the last week, and hopefully you can learn from our mistakes. And hopefully this will answer a lot of the questions going on in the chat room right now. So things to think about. So slow going. We wanted to put these numbers up there for you. to understand that this connectivity to class app is not going to be lightning fast. And I think with our teacher brains on, we like to see that 100%. We like to see those high numbers. But if you look at that first column, our families on SeeSaw, like Jen and I did pretty good this year. We're almost at 100%. Only about half of them connected remotely when we first sent out the home codes. And when we look at the activities we've sent, not even all of them are completing the activities. And that's okay. We're happy with that. So just to understand, it's the same thing if you assign a worksheet or give other work, not everyone's going to hand it in. So something is better than nothing, and we're having patience and giving them that time. So I know as I started connecting like via email and phone calls and texting through that Text Plus app, I'm getting a little bit more connectivity, but I've sent home codes home a week ago, and I have 4 actively using activities right now. So it is what it is. The second thing to be cognizant of are the different family devices. So we've had parents, and this is through parent chat and looking at activities, a lot of our kids are just using mom's iPhone or using mom's smartphone. We also had a few that are using laptops with no camera on it, and tablets that are Apple tablets, other brands, older tablets. So just being cognizant of these different devices when you're creating activities, and we'll dive into more of those tomorrow. But just realizing we're going to give them a variety of instruction. And Jen had touched on it before where she said keeping those codes handy. So I even told some of my families, like, stick that code on the fridge. Because if you have 3 kids that need to sign in and out of the class app, it's going to have to be handy if they're all sharing mom's phone, right? Another reason to not go over and overload them with hours of work a day when they're all sharing a device. And the last one, this is kind of a SeeSaw hack and quick tip we got for connecting families, because Jen and I immediately did say, like, man, we're not getting connectivity. Our parents aren't getting on. How are we going to get them on here? So these are screenshots of the actual messages we sent home. So like Jen said, I took screenshots of those home codes and sent them through private message. And I noticed that some parents weren't even checking it, whereas they were reading my messages when we were in class. So we had sent this note to the student journal. So you can see that we tagged ourselves and everyone. So I just hit that plus sign, hit the draw tool, and typed out this message like, hey friends, if you haven't signed up for class yet, check your messages. There are instructions in there. Hope to see you soon. Hope all is well. Because when you assign something to their child's journal, they get a notification in the app. I believe that's a default in SeeSaw, whereas if you just private message them, they won't necessarily get a notification. So as soon as I tagged this little note and tagged them all in this student journal post, I got 3 more signups. So anytime I want them to check something, I post it to the student journal and tag everyone in it, just saying, P.S. there's a new message for you, check it out. And that seemed to help too. All right, same goes with activities. If you have a new activity, you can see there I said, like, I've added a new activity there for you to check out, because they won't get notifications for new activities either. So.
Awesome. Okay, that was like major download of some good content there. Thanks, Jen and Shantima. I saw one quick question there before we maybe wrap up is, what if they don't have a printer? Which I'm sure you guys deal with that quite a bit.
You mean like a printer for...
Yeah, the teacher doesn't have a printer?
I'm assuming they mean the family to print off the home code, maybe?
Oh, so if they don't have a printer, that's fine. All they really need is to write down the code, right?
So that might be a good thing to highlight when you send it home, the code.
Yes.
Right? Because that's all they really need from that whole instruction page.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and they do have, if you noticed on the, see, I wonder, now I'm on my iPad, so I feel like the world's my oyster. Like this is the sheet that's going home, you don't have to print that. I don't think any of my families printed this. I think they just looked at it on their phone, and then they probably went to their device. They either logged into the computer, or there is a QR code there. So if they do have an Apple device, you know, they can just scan that QR code, and then it would have like opened it right up. So just that number 3, CXVP, you know, etc. That's the key. You can highlight that if you want to for them, but that's the code that they need to, you know, stick on the fridge if you have multiple kids in the family that are going to be using SeeSaw. Now, saying that, not to blow everybody's mind and, you know, overthink it, but if, say, you've already sent these home, and then the parent says to you, I lost the code, I need a new one. Not a problem. So you just go back, you do the system again, you go print codes, you find Lemmy's, right? So Lemmy's mother, Jen, is super responsible, maybe, or the dog ate it. Maybe the dog ate the code. I don't know what happened to it, but she needs a new one. So I'm just going to go back. I go to print codes, and then I find Lemmy's code again. You might notice that it's different. It is going to generate a different code every time you go to print codes, but it doesn't matter. Any of those specific codes,
we'll sign them in.
We'll sign them in. Yeah. So if that's just if you notice and go, wait, I don't think that was the code that they had last time, it's okay. That old code will work and the new code will work. Yeah.
Someone's also asking if we, teachers will not get a notification if someone's connected to the class app. So that's why Jen and I had created that initial activity saying like, hey, welcome to the class app. Can you draw me a picture? And for us, that was kind of our check-in, because we had that same question. How are we going to know they're here? Right? So if you assign a new activity, they cannot get into that activity through the parent app. So you then know that they are in the class app if they have responded to that activity.
So there's my activity. And this is how I know that I have 11 students connected, because I have 11 drawings there.
Responses.
That's how I know.
1 pending, moving on up, Jen.
Ooh, 12.
If I can just add something. If you don't mind. As a parent, I found that the best way to kind of figure things out is using yourself and putting yourself in as a parent if you don't have children and home code set up. So using yourself as an example, and then sending home codes to yourself, and then you can experiment with it that way, see what the kids actually get at home. And you might have a little understanding to help support and answer some questions to parents that way.
Yeah.
And then send stuff back to yourself. And when you complete an activity, so send yourself an assignment, complete the assignment, and then you can look back and see what it looks like.
Yeah.
I know there's the sample student. Yeah. But I find the sample student still doesn't give you all the functions that you need. So this is probably something a lot of the teachers here right now are doing, but I immediately create myself as a student, because we always teach by modeling, right? So in my classroom, I'll go up and say, okay, like we always say, so what's the first thing you're gonna do now when I say go? And I'll say, so I'm gonna find my name, right? And I model it with myself as a student. So I myself am a student in my classroom. And that can help here now, because you can send yourself that home code, download the class app, and check it out too.
Okay. I'm going to keep us rolling if that's okay. We're going to leave some time at the end for questions, because I know there's probably lots that people want to know, and I want to be cognizant of time for those who are ready to go outside and get some fresh air. So I'm confident you guys were able to take something from this today, because my mind is exploding right now. If you have any more, we'll hang on for a bit at the end, and you can chat them in the box if there's anything outstanding you want to know. And just remember, there's going to be more sessions where this is going to continue, so you're going to have lots more to tackle and hear about.
Oh, Nicole, you're muted.
Okay, and as always, we always look for your feedback, and so we know where to go next with our sessions, and to be responsive to your needs. We want to make these sessions as valuable and useful to you as possible. So please go to this link and put your feedback in for us.
Yes, much appreciated. So thanks for spending time with us. We hope to see you again here same time tomorrow, where Jen and Shantima will dig deeper and talk to you about what it looks like to design effective and realistic activities. That'll be the next step to dig into further tomorrow.
Sam, I see a lot of chat questions that also were probably answered in the other two workshops, like this morning. So those are archived somewhere, right? If people want to go back now and watch.
Next slide.
The other two.
Next slide, there's going to be a QR code for them to go back and access them.
Okay.
I believe it's the next slide. I think. Yes. Yeah.
The blog. Okay.
Good point,
oh, yeah.
Shantima. Yeah.
Just, yeah, for some of these questions, I know, like, I went to some of the earlier ones too, because there are things that we miss, right? So it might not hurt to go check out the archived ones.
Absolutely. Nicole, do you have anything you want to say around this?
If you go to that link, the link to the Elementary Educator Remote Learning Resources, and use that QR code, you will be able to see the new website that's created that will house all of the recorded sessions from today, tomorrow, and Friday. And also, if you don't go to that link, you can get to it through the LK Blogspot, and you will see a link on the Blogspot that will get you to this website as well. And it will continue to grow, like I said, over the next 3 days. And actually, we went on there today, and the sessions from this morning are already on that site.
Awesome. Okay, so where to next? Flip over the next slide, and you're just going to see a copy of upcoming sessions. These will be the sessions for the week. We referenced them earlier, but just as another reminder, there's some more tomorrow, and then for Google Suites as well, so lots happening. So thanks for joining us.
Okay, we will see you back here tomorrow for learning on the activities.
Yes, and again, our chat will be open for a few minutes, I think, if you have any pressing things you need to know about.